But hey, the Knicks finally have a new head coach. Sources telling our Sharpe that Mike Brown will be taking charge of the clipboard in New York. This news coming 4 weeks after the team fired Tom Thibodeau following back-to-back 50-win seasons and the Knicks' first trip to the Eastern Conference Final in 25 years. And the aforementioned Sharpe joins us now here on SportsCenter. All right, so Mike Brown is a two-time coach of the year, but this is now his fourth team in the league. The Knicks spent a month trying to find a guy. What led them to him?
I'm told two factors really stood out in their process with Mike Brown. The first one, his ability to be a collaborator from every level. Ownership, the front office, the players. They felt like he was able to be adaptable and collaborative. That stood out in the process. The other thing is leadership. He's seen it all as a head coach, as an assistant coach. He's coached a vast array of superstar players. You think about in San Antonio, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. In Golden State, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. In LA, Kobe Bryant, Paul Gasol. Most recently, he coached De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. And we can't forget Cleveland with LeBron James. And so you cobble all that together and you get someone that is primed for this job, that's going to be one hell of a pressure cooker. And at the end of the day, it came down to four coaches for this potential position. It was Mike Brown, Memphis Grizzlies former coach Taylor Jenkins, Micah Nori, the lead assistant in Minnesota, and James Borrego, the lead assistant in New Orleans. They obviously went with with Mike Brown. He had an interview with James Dolan in person. He's the only coach that got that face-to-face with him. But this position that he's entering right now, it's championship or bust. It has title aspirations every single year, and that's the pressure that's going to be on Mike Brown now moving forward. We know he's a great coach in terms of he's had a lot of success, but winning in New York and trying to win a championship is another level.
Yeah, he understands the pressure, though, for sure, based on some of those other spots he's been to. All right, so let's go out west. Now, Laker fans were going in on Rob Pelinka early this week after they let Dorian Finney-Smith bounce to the Rockets on a new 4-year deal. But now LA gets DeAndre Ayton on the cheap. Considering that buyout from Portland, now he's in LA. How did all this play out?
So once that buyout happened on Sunday night, it shocked the NBA. For a player of this caliber, former #1 overall pick, to be on the open market, this is a great get for the Lakers in terms of the price. The question is, again, does it take them over the top? Does it make them a true title contender? But it's a 2-year deal, player option on year 2. They found their big man. They found their starter at center. There are a multitude of teams that are interested in him. The Clippers, the Pacers, the Nuggets. He goes to LA, and this gives them the #1 and #3 pick from that 2018 NBA draft in DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic. They get that somewhat of a lob threat defensive anchor, but they know they need DeAndre Ayton to play even better now in LA, because this team around Luka Doncic, LeBron James, they're trying to build to compete for a championship. Today was a step in that direction, getting a center like DeAndre Ayton.
I mean, consider where LeBron is in his career. That window for another championship is about this wide open right now. And Ayton, maybe he'll be revitalized by playing with two guys who may both end up in the Hall of Fame. Sean's and his phone, full effect.
Back with you on SportsCenter with more on our breaking news just this hour. Sham Charania reporting that former #1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton cleared waivers and agreed to a deal with the Lakers. 2 years with a player option. He negotiated a buyout with the Blazers because he said he wanted to play for a winner, and there was apparently some stiff competition to get him. The last season Hollywood. And here's what a potential lineup could look like for the Lakers with Ayton sliding into that starting center role. It does, of course, add a much-needed size to a Lakers team that ranked in the bottom third of the league in rebounding percentage last season. Let's bring in our front office insider, Bobby Marks, for much more on this and to break it down. Let's talk about it. How you like the fit, Ayton, with the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, considering where they were about 10 hours ago, it's certainly an improvement here. I mean, we had Jared Vanderbilt as their starting center, and no offense to Jared Vanderbilt, but he's better served coming off the bench. Ayton was the best available center that was left in the free agent market, certainly coming off that buyout here. I think 82% of the shots, or field goal percentage at the rim last year. I think the one concern for me, El, is not really a paint presence as far as blocking shots, less than 1 last year in Portland here, but certainly fills a need, something the Lakers needed. There's still some work to do, especially for that bench. They need some perimeter shooting, but it's a good start for an offseason that started off a little bit slow here.
Yeah, a good start. I would say the odds makers are not overwhelmed by the move because their odds, the Lakers, to win the Western Eastern Conference moved from plus 1,000 to plus 900 with the Ayton acquisition. Let's go over to Milwaukee because we know they've lost two of their key pieces. Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez are both gone. They did land Miles Turner, but one anonymous exec told ESPN this move is, quote, reckless. What are your thoughts on the offseason that they're having?
I don't know if I'd go reckless. I'd say probably more desperate. I mean, I think when you look at where Milwaukee was, and listen, they took the Damian Lillard money and they stretched it out over 5 years. It's basically, Al, if I gave you a credit card and said you had 0% interest on it, but you had to pay 40% in years 2 to 5 when you start paying something, that's where the cost is going to hit Milwaukee here, is that it's not about the future, it's about the now for Milwaukee. When you add Miles Turner to this roster in Milwaukee, they'll figure it out, the dead cap hit down the road here, but it's something they had to do. They didn't have many options at all when you look at their roster and the lack of draft equity here. That was really their lone big move, was to take that Lillard money, stretch it out, and going out and get a player like Miles Turner.
If you gave me a credit card with no limit, by the way, and said I would have to pay 40% in taxes before that hit, I would probably get a new Social Security and go to witness protection. Bobby Marks, thank you so much for your insight here. Sharania, give it to us. What you got?
Free agent center DeAndre Ayton has reached agreement on a 2-year deal to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. So Lakers have found their big man, their center, after 2 days into free agency. And now they have the number 1 and number 3 pick from the 2018 NBA draft with DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic. I'm told the Knicks, Clippers, Bucks, Pacers, Cavs, and Nuggets all had interest in Ayton before his decision to sign with the Lakers. Multiple teams also reached out to Portland Trailblazers general manager Joe Cronin after the buyout of Ayton on Sunday. And I'm told they all got rave reviews of him as a teammate. But listen, the pressure now is on in Los Angeles to build a winner, a contender around Luka Doncic and LeBron James. They've needed a center. Rob Pelinka, their president of basketball operations, he's spoken since the end of last season. We need to find a starting center, someone that can serve as a lob threat for Luka Doncic. 2 days into free agency, Rob Pelinka, DeAndre Ayton's agents, reached an agreement on a 2-year deal with a player option for the big man to be in LA.
Bit of an injury-plagued season for Ayton last year in Portland. He was limited to just 40 games, but he did shoot 56% from the field in the games that he played. Now, of course, let's get back to what was going to start before you had that breaking news. The biggest news that we heard earlier today that you broke, that the Knicks are going to hire Mike Brown to replace Tom Thibodeau. And it seems like they were courting everybody in the NBA that had a pulse. Why did they decide to put a ring on him?
So they interviewed 4 formal candidates: Taylor Jenkins, Micah Nori, James Borrego, and Mike Brown. But the one thing that they found, the couple factors they found with Mike Brown, the collaboration and adaptability they felt was head and shoulders above other candidates that they had. His ability to collaborate with every level of the organization, from ownership to the front office. The other side is leadership. And Leon Rose, Knicks president, they interviewed, they went through multiple stages, but Mike Brown was the one that came to New York this week, met with owner James Dolan, and so overall, they went through a lot. They requested permission, got rejected by 5 current head coaches, but now the job will be Mike Brown, and he's coming into New York with a lot of pressure. This is a pressure cooker job. The expectation is to win a championship. And the one thing Mike Brown can relate to is that championship pressure.
Yes.
He's had it in Los Angeles with Kobe Bryant. He's had it in Cleveland with LeBron James. Other stops along the way. Golden State, he was an assistant coach, won 4 championships there and with the Spurs. So you think about all those teams I just mentioned, Al, he's coached a lot of superstar players. But now Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, this Knicks job has a lot of pressure coming up.
It certainly does. He does have the pedigree of former coach of the year. And of course, if Shams has any more breaking news, and I don't doubt that he will, we will bring it to you live right here on SportsCenter. We're just going to tuck him back in his closet that we keep him in. But for much more on the Knicks hiring.
All right, a happy Wednesday. Greetings from Los Angeles. My final day in LA and heading home for a couple of days before Summer League. Hopefully everyone is doing great. Happy 4th of July. I figured we'll do a little whip around